Hello and welcome to the 8th episode of the Tekken School series. Today's episode is probably going to be longer than the last few because it's going to cover a very important subject, that is wake-ups. Okay, wake-ups are a very challenging subject for a new player. They're very complicated in Tekken. Compared to other fighting games, it's probably one of the most complicated or overcomplicated subjects. But it's very important because if you don't know how to wake up, you will never get back in the fight. You never get to hit them back. Okay, so before we do anything, in the restart settings, you could see here there are like ways that you could start. You could start standing, down with your face up, down with your face down, and in your direction you could be front, left, right, back. Okay, so as you can see, this is the most normal way that you'll be knocked down in. Usually your face up, your feet close to the opponent. You could also be knocked with your face down. Okay, as you can see, like this. So you have your face down and your head towards your opponent. In both of these situations, you'll see that if you wake up, right, you're with kind of like, you're keeping like your face towards your opponent. You're never giving them your back. Now, if we change this here to your back, you'll see that when we wake up, we kind of turn our back to the opponent for a moment. Same is true for the face down position. Okay, like this. This is important. I'm gonna cover this soon. But before that, the most important get up option that I want you guys to learn. Did I put myself on my back to him? I did. Okay. There's one most important way to get up that I want all of you to learn. If you learn nothing else from this video and you're getting too confused, I want you to take this one away. And it is cold tech rolling. Okay. You see that I'm kind of, instead of like falling down the ground, then getting up, I get up immediately. This get up option is probably the most important one in Tekken. It is usually the safest option. There are some ways to counter it, but generally speaking, this is the best way to wake up, and it is actually way simpler than it looks. If you press your punch buttons, you'll roll away from the screen, and if you press your kick buttons, you'll roll into the screen. Now you can kind of watch my inputs, right? Watch my inputs on the side there. You see, I'm just mashing it, absolutely like slobbering over my controller, and I still get to roll perfectly. So this is a very easy technique to kind of perform. You really don't need to be skilled or anything. You can like mash anybody you want and you will get up. So make sure you learn this one. The reason this is so good is because it avoids this whole game on the ground that a lot of characters can play, where they could hit you again or get plus frames when you wake up. So make sure to learn how to side roll. Okay, remember, if nothing else from this video, you learned how to side roll. Okay, so let's get back on the ground. So let's assume you are on the ground finally. There are some main ways you can get up, and we'll cover all of them. Then I'll cover some options I don't recommend so much, but are still options you can use. So the main options to get up are tap up, and you can see you kind of like wake up like this. You're pretty close to your opponent generally when you wake up with tap up. So you're like this, but generally you have to block because they're more advantageous. Another way, main way to get up is by tapping back. And tapping back, as you can see, creates a lot of space between you and your opponents. Before, we could just jab immediately. With tap back, you'll see there's a lot of space created here. So if you want more space from your opponent, if you feel like you're trying to slow things down or just get away from them, that is the option you can go for. The next option you could go for, that is relatively safe, is rolling. Not tech rolling. This is not the one that we did on the ground. You do this by tapping your 1 button. Now you could tap your 1 with down to roll into the screen, or just tap it once to roll away from the screen. After you roll, you have 2 options. You could get up immediately, right? And you can use the same get up techniques that we're going to learn in this video, right? We have tap up, tap back. You could roll forward, all the ones I'm going to cover soon. So you could do all of them, or you could hold down. If you hold down, you'll stay on the ground. Now, this is going to be important later. This makes it so you change from front to back though. Okay, so you can see I'm turning my back away to the opponent now. So usually we're only going to use this when we're already with our backs to the opponent. I'm going to cover this later. But just remember that you could hold down if you want to stay on the ground. Okay, and then you can use other options. These are the recommended options then. Tap up, tap back, and roll. Okay, these are the 3 that I really recommend you learn. But there's also a few more risky options. Now, just because they're risky doesn't mean they don't have a place. Everything has a place in Tekken, and it's all on you to use the tools that you like in a way that makes like your game plan or like your play style, basically. So the next options are the get up kicks, and the get up kicks, you have get up free, and that's a wake up low. Okay, so see it like this. It is very plus. It is -9 on block, so it is safe technically, but it could be low parried. Okay, so a bit dangerous. It has 22 frames of startup, meaning that if the opponent is attacking into you, then you're very much getting hit. This is a relatively slow maneuver. And it has other weaknesses that right now you don't have to worry about. It's more advanced sidestepping weaknesses. But yeah, this is the wake up free. You also have a mid to mix it up with wake up 4. This too is -9 on block, but generally because of the space that it creates, normally you just kind of go back to neutral. So not very dangerous to throw out. It's safe. It cannot be low parried. It can be normally parried if the opponent has a kick parry, but generally okay to throw out. Just make sure you're not getting too predictable, because again, if you get hit by this or if you get whiff punished, you'll eat a lot of damage. Okay, so these are the wake up kicks. You could also perform a spring kick, and this is done by pressing 3 and 4 at the same time. This is how it looks like. Now this move is relatively fast. It can interrupt a lot of opponents' options, and it's also a bit evasive because you see how he kind of like pulls back and like lifts his feet. So maybe if they're trying to do can I get spring kick, please? Hello? Yeah, okay, thank you. Yeah, like this. So if they try to hit you on the ground, they could sometimes whiff and then you hit them. And of course you're plus, so it takes your turn. So like, yeah, so it gives you like a turn if you do it. But this move, sadly, is the most punishable probably out of all the options. If I show him on block here, see that this is -15. It can be even more minus. It can be up to -20, I believe. It can be made less punishable, but it's always punishable. So I've never seen this being safe. So it is very dangerous. At this like -15, you could be launched with like a hop kick. So be careful when you use the spring kick. Don't use it too much, using sparingly, because it is very dangerous. So these are the kind of attack options. You can also roll forward, and roll forward is an extremely slow maneuver. So I really recommend against it, but some people really like it. And after it, you have a few options. You could roll and just do nothing. You can roll into the wake up kicks, right? Mid, low, both are safe. You could roll into a crouch, right? Like this. Characters with full crouch can kind of go into their full crouch buttons from it. So it can be very nice. And you can also do what we call a cross chop. So cross chop is basically when you do roll into 1+2, and this is +2 on block, which sounds really good, but again, this is extremely slow, so you're very likely to get hit out of it. So use it cautiously. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, use it cautiously. Okay, so we covered most of the get up options. There are a few unique get up options. Feng, for example, has back 3+4 that makes him kind of wake up like this. There are other characters like Devil Jin or Lisa that have special get-ups, like King has one. Generally, I'm not going to cover them. They're character specific, so don't worry about them too much. And the last one I want you guys to learn is the quick get-up. And the quick get-up works by holding forward as you're knocked down. You'll see that it kind of does like this. Cool kung fu get-up, or like, I don't know how people call this. I don't really know what's the name for this, but it's a quick get up. Okay, you do this and you immediately get back on the ground against very slow moves that knock you down, or if you are knocked very far away, this could put you back on your feet without the risk of being kind of like hit on the ground. So yeah, keep that option in mind. So we covered all the normal get up options. Okay, all the normal ones. Now it's time to cover the different wake up situations. So I said there's like feet away, towards, all these things. So let's first go with face down. Okay, in this position you're face down, but your head is towards the opponent, meaning that when you get up, okay, right, you can see you don't turn your back into the opponent. I recommend in these situations to normally either tap up or tap back, or roll. The reason is your get up kicks are becoming slower in this stance or in this position. Before, in the other wake up position, the normal one, they took 22 frames. Here they take 26 to get up. You cannot use the spring kick. You can only use spring kick in the other position, in the first one I showed. And again, the roll doesn't lead to the cross chop, so you can't even do that. I really recommend to either just roll to avoid any unnecessary damage, or to tap back or tap up in this position. Okay, let's keep going. Now we have what happens when you're with your back to the opponent. Okay, so this is an example. In these kind of situations, you're in a lot of danger, even if you don't know it. The reason is, when you wake up, as I said, you kind of turn your back to the opponent for a moment, and if they're really keen on it, or they know their setups, they could be attacking you as you wake up. So how do you avoid that? Just tapping up or tapping back is not safe enough. Actually, here is where we can use the roll, and you can use the roll in two ways. You can either roll and get up, okay, but here you still turn your back to the opponent for a moment, right? You either like this or like this. And you can do what we talked about earlier, which is roll and hold down. And by holding down, you see that your character now is in a different position. Okay, so you start in this position, but they turn into this position. Okay, and now you're not with your back to the opponent anymore. Okay, so this is roll, right? I press 1 and I hold down. Okay, and this kind of fixes you, puts you in the position we already learned earlier, right? With your face down, but also towards the opponent. So this is a very nice technique to learn. If you don't want to pick it up, it's fine. Like, you can worry about it later. But it's a very nice technique to kind of avoid a lot of nasty setups that lead to a lot of damage. Okay. Similarly, when you're with your face down and back to the opponent, you'll see again. Sorry. If you tap up or if you go like this, it's like not too good. It opens you up for attacks. You could technically do the get up kicks. They are faster in this position, but sadly in this position you're very likely to be attacked, so you're very likely to be counter hit if you try any get up attacks. So keep that in mind. Again, in this position too, I recommend doing 1 and hold down. You see this puts you in the normal wake up position, and from there you can use any of the get ups that you like, right? You can use the get up kicks, you can use the spring kick, the roll, cross chop. You can do this. You can do like just stay on the ground and kind of bait your opponent. And the last one, I think I forgot to mention, in the normal position, I'm not a big fan of it, but sometimes it can help you close out a round. So let me go back here. It's the down free. Okay, you probably seen this, the toe kick. Okay, this is a low, so the opponent has to block it low. It is very short range and it has a lot of recovery. Okay. So if the opponent made you whiff it, expect a lot of damage, okay? They're going to hit you big time for it. It is -3 on hit, but as you can see, it is very fast. 13 frames of startup, so it's the fastest option in terms of attacking options. Yeah, and it creates a lot of space. Sometimes your opponent has almost no HP and they're trying to pressure you for that last bit. They're trying to make that comeback, and this is the comeback denier sometimes. So it is important. Remember, even if I see something as dangerous, punishable, not recommended, all these things, they're just kind of like precautions I'm taking so nobody gets too used to using them. But everything has a place, everything has a use, and if you use everything in harmony, then your Tekken like playstyle and gameplay will just be elevated. So this is the toe kick. So we covered all the different get-ups. Homework for today, I want you to remember, first thing I said in this video is practicing the tech roll. I want you to practice getting up like this, so you don't have to spend a lot of time on the ground. Okay. And I want, in your games, okay, the other homework assignment number 2 is I want you to use 3 different types of wake-ups, okay? They can be a get-up kick, they can be a tap back, right? They can be a roll and stay on the ground, right? Or they can be just like a roll like this to just stall on the ground and do nothing, right? So it could be anything you want. I want 3 different ones in one game. I hope this video was easy to understand. This is one of the topics I feel like are very difficult to cover in Tekken because they're so confusing. Some people call them stances, some call them positions. They happen so many times during your matches, and it's very important to get familiar with them. And remember, if nothing else, we learned how to tech roll today. Okay, we just mash our controllers and we get back up and we're back in the fight. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. I hope this was useful, and bye bye.